Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Jada Toys Cyberpunk Edgerunners David Martinez figure. I've been really wanting an excuse to get into Jada Toys stuff lately. They don't really make anything I'm interested in. Like the Street Fighter figures look really cool, but I don't play Street Fighter. They also make a bunch of food mascots that I'm not really interested in, but a little while ago, I think over a year ago, they showed off prototypes of this and Lucy, which I have Lucy. I'll be reviewing her after this video. Both of them looked really good, and then it just took a while for these things to finally have a pre-order drop. I think they're going to be making Rebecca and Maine at some point. I'd love to see that. I'd also honestly love to see stuff from Cyberpunk 2077 from Jada too. So this is a company that's really getting up there with a lot of popularity for people. A lot of people have really been digging Jada stuff, so I guess it's time to throw my hat in the ring a little bit to see what the hype is about. Let's take a look here at the packaging. It says David, Jada Toys, ages 15 and up. You have the figure of the boss. There is a backdrop of Night City with some neon green going down the bottom. The figure is covering it a little bit, but it's a cool backdrop. It does say Cyberpunk Edgerunners here, as well as some warnings right there. I really dig this packaging. It's kind of reminiscent of the McFarlane Toys Cyberpunk 2077 figures that they really didn't do anything with besides just 3 figures. On this side here, pretty nice look of this artwork. It says David on the top there. You have this trigger art style there of David. It gets broken up a little bit because of how the angles of some of this packaging is done, but it still looks pretty good. There's their website, made in China as well. Now on this side, it's just going to say Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It's going to say it on the top too, but that's just a window box as well. So let's zoom in a little bit here. I have no idea if you're going to be able to find these at Targets or anything, but I'm going to leave a barcode just in case you need that. And then here, there's just a whole bunch of legal stuff, if I can even focus, going on there for what Jada Toys is, basically. That's giving me problems for some reason. But anyway, back of the packaging here is pretty much the whole poster. I'm kind of hoping they make everyone here in the back, but they probably won't make him or her. I'm not entirely sure who they won't make, but maybe we'll get a skinnier David as well, because he really only looks like this, how this figure is done. Like not even the second half of the shell. CD Projekt Red logo there. I've yapped enough about the box. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figure out of the packaging. Here's the figure out of the packaging, and I think that this is fantastic. I am definitely going to keep my eye on Jada Toys after this release, not only because of their Cyberpunk stuff, but they might be working on Invincible. That is so hype. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath just yet. The figure here, not perfect, a couple of nitpicks, but it's still really awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. First thing I want to talk about is the head sculpt and overall the art style of what they're trying to capture with this figure. You know, those original, prototypes, it really didn't look a lot like how David was, shown in the series. I think they've tooled it up a little bit differently now to where it kind of matches more. This is undeniably David Martinez, but it still doesn't really have the trigger art style, which is, I could tell, is kind of hard to replicate in action figure form. So with that being said, I think that this head looks really nice. Very nice animated looking eyes. A little bit of some line work underneath the eyes there. The teeth look good. The way that nose actually looks is pretty nice. The eyebrows too. Nice lines going on, like these panel lines almost, around the face for the cybernetics. And then they actually did a really good job of what I've never known what the cybernetic is, which is all around the head, this gray section. But they've painted this really nicely. I am trying to look close, and I don't see anything mismatched at all, actually. Maybe a little bit up here, but that's not very noticeable. They even have a little bit of shading, like it's a light brown in this darker brown plastic mold here. That's sick. And then you have this back section on the head that is continued from the Sandevistan, and we'll talk about that in a second. These little black sections right here too. Popping this in and out is rather easy. It's on a dumbbell joint. Just pop this back in, and it stays in just fine. It's not harder or more easier to interchange one or more of the heads. They're both pretty easy to pop in and out. Sometimes certain action figures, the head they come packaged with is easier to pop off and pop back on compared to the alternate heads. But then we have this necklace with the cross here. It's just a gold piece of plastic, painted plastic. And then we do have this little actual line here, which does have a nice little tie going on there. You undo that, I don't know if you're going to put that back on unless you do it really carefully. If I undo that, it's over. Let's pop this on. The collar kind of gets in the way. I might need to cut away. All you got to do really is just pull back the collar here a little bit, pop the head off, put this on. I tend to tuck that little tie back there, you know, in between the back of the jacket, and it seems to be fine, honestly. It hangs pretty low. I think that's supposed to be accurate, but that's pretty cool. Then we do have this pistol here. This is a smart pistol. I don't remember the exact name of the models of the guns. Maybe I'll put them up on the screen if I remember to do that. This is very much how the smart pistol looks like in default. By that I mean, I think like the first time you ever see it, it looks like this color, where it has this red here. And I think that the red should maybe be a little bit more continued up here. It's like this more dull red, and then a little bit of this lighter gray painted there, and the rest of it is a molded gray plastic. The molded plastic could look better. It's not bad, though. That's what the front looks like. There's definitely sections that are painted, and you have the red right there. Now, holding this, we do have an alternate hand. And I'll talk about the detailing of this in a second. But that holds that, and then all you have to do... the figure comes packaged with fists, so just pop that in, and maybe get a quick pose. And this thing poses really well, too, which, again, we will talk about that in a second. But it seems like the gun wants to pop out of the hand just a little too easily, but yeah, that's not too bad looking. Now, I do want to show off what I could do with Cyberpunk 2077 McFarlane Toys stuff. Unfortunately, it's really only relegated to just one-handed stuff because of how the left hand for David is done. I'll show it off in a second. So this is the Lexington pistol, I believe. Fits pretty well. The fingers for like both open hands are a little bit more rigid, so it's going to be a little bit harder to like pry them open. You might break something if you push it too hard, but I was able to get this pistol in no problem. Kind of the same thing with the Smart submachine gun here, which it was a little bit difficult more so to get it into the right hand, and then the left hand where it's supposed to grab there. Yeah, that's not going to grab that, unfortunately, just because of how stiff those fingers are. And then this is the sword that... Pretty much every weapon here came from the V figure from McFarlane Toys, like half a decade ago at this point. And then, yeah, that sword is just not... I mean, it looks fine, but you can tell that hand is not meant for holding a sword like that. So you're really only relegated again to right-handed, one-handed poses with weapons. And I forgot to mention the hands as well. You can see... very similar to how the fists are done, where these nice knuckle sections with some black on the fingers too. And then there's also gray. I think they're molded in gray mostly. Can't tell exactly. There's definitely some black paint on the back of the hands there. A little bit of like some panel detailing. I wish the detailing on the back of the hand panels could be a little bit more prominent. But these still look rather nice. This is more of a gripping type of hand, just for random types of poses. It could maybe do a two-handed pose with, you know, the pistol it comes with, but not really. And then that is the right hand for holding, you know, this actually goes up and down here, and then the rest of the hands, they go in and out. So gun holding hand, different type of articulation going on there. If you feel like this doesn't come with enough weapons, well, thankfully we do have the arm cannon here. Very nicely done. I would use the arm cannon like all the time when I was playing the game. Now popping it in, there is a piece of skin here that it does, when I popped it back in, yeah, it does. It's pretty apparent, unfortunately. So it sticks out like a sore thumb. But in order to do that, you know, in order to do this, I should say, pop it in like so. And that actually doesn't want to stay in too well. Popping it in like that. Back this out a little bit. And there you got the arm cannon. I believe he got this from Maine. So, yeah, that's cool. The yellow on there is nice, and the skin tone with some dark gray. It's also looking really nice. So we have a decent amount of stuff with this figure already. I'm wondering how long or short I could do the detail section here, because a lot of this is going to be focused on the tailored goods, and these soft goods were a big highlight of this figure. I believe if other reviews I saw a while ago were correct, I think it was Rebel 10 Customs worked on the prototyping for these, and if that's the case, I mean, somebody in the community working on something like this, even if it's a little bit of a smaller toy company compared to like Hasbro or McFarlane, that is very impressive. I'm really digging this EMS jacket. I don't remember the name of the EMS in that series. It's not MaxTac. Like, this is a different thing from MaxTac. Just whatever EMS it is. Looks great. It's a little bit of like I don't know what material this is, but it's a softer type of material going on here. And then the way that they have the printing on the white here is also very nice. It feels like a separate type of material on there too. That Edgerunners logo printed on there perfectly. Really great stitching, and you can't really see that many breakups in the like that's covered pretty well, and then you can see it a little bit there, but that's really not bad. The pockets have it a little bit with how that is how that's done with the, gotta turn that brightness a little bit. With the stitching there, it's a little apparent. They're a little baggy, but that's fine to me. It's still really, like, look at the inner lining too. This all has to be stitched together. And then they have whatever the inside here with this different type of blue and like a very dark green in there. That is just really impressive. And then you get down to the forearm sections of these. And yes, they're going to cover a lot of the arms. Technically, this can be removed. I'm not going to be doing it in this video, unfortunately. Just because it's going to take too much time to put on and off. There are a decent amount of photos of what this looks like without the jacket on. You can push it all the way down if you really want to, and it's wrinkled up a little bit because of how it was packaged. Pushing it back up is much easier. I will peel it a little bit because it definitely can be peeled off. You're starting to get an idea of just how much continued details they have, and they have pinless tech too. Yeah, they definitely didn't need to do pinless tech because the thing's going to get covered, but I'm glad they did that. It does look like, I mean, I can't tell in person too much. This little elbow piece kind of looks like a little bit of a lighter colored plastic compared to the rest of this, which is kind of like the Marvel Legends thing with their pinless tech now. Really not a big deal at all. Great shading on the muscles right here. It's not super consistent. You're going to get it in other sections, like around here in the abs, definitely the rib cage up here in some sections. A little bit like right there, and then definitely around the back with these panels. Look at the Sandevistan. That looks great. I think a couple parts look a little messy because the skin's coming through a little bit, but that is really awesome looking. And then they even continue, I didn't realize that, they continue it going on down there when you move that part. And does it continue here? Yeah, it continues there. I mean, it starts to get a little bit gappy if you keep pushing it, but that is so impressive. Just little back sections right there. So yeah, I do apologize I can't take this off, but hopefully it gives you an idea because they just keep going. There's a little bit of shading there and like panels on the arms. Then you have these gray sections sculpted on there. That's what the fists look like. They're very similar to each other. There's actually better detailing, I feel like, of the panel on that back of the hand. This one too, compared to the other ones. And this thing's a little apparent again. It sticks out like a sore thumb, like I've already said. And it likes to pop off a little too easily. If you really don't care, you could just put this to the side. I wouldn't throw it away, of course, but you could just put it in a little baggie and never have it back on. Or, you know, if you really don't think you're going to use the arm cannon, you can glue it in, which I don't entirely recommend. But, yeah, that's a function there. I wish they perfected it a little bit more. It just sticks out too much, but it's not a big deal. I haven't even talked about the normal head sculpt, which looks good. Again, I don't really see the anime version of David in here, but it undeniably, because of how they have the hair done with that hairstyle, you know, how the side of the head looks with all of that, everything going on here, but the cheeks have a little bit of blush going on there. Yeah, undeniably is David. So that is really sick. And then a lot of detailing around the neck too. Whatever's going on with these nipples, I don't know if they ever explained it, but you have some detailing there, and again the chest and the pecs. And again, I love the inside here. I do wish they kind of continued this, but it probably was going to get a little too difficult with how this gray lining is done. Gray lining on this it's peak. It's top notch. Great definition in the abs too, with how they, you know, bring out the accents of the detailing with that shading. So this belt piece, I'm not taking pants off, guys, even if I wanted to, which I don't want to. I just got to tell you right now. But This belt section is really tight around the pants, so you're not going to get these off unless you break that belt, and you really shouldn't. The way these like suspenders look too, and a little bit of like a lighter and darker gray mixed in here, where this is almost like a bluish gray. The buckles, yeah, they look fine too. All that looks pretty good. And then this is how they did the pants with the soft goods here. A lighter blue and then like a grayish dusty blue, or like a dusty gray blue type of material going on here. Looking really nice. All of this stitching is done very well. The painting of how this is done. I don't know how long this paint can last, because if you own this for a few more years and things can get wrinkled, maybe some paint might flake. But I mean, this is brand new, so we're not going to know for now. It's very scrunched up around the knees too. I think you could get this over the boots, but I really am having trouble doing that, and I don't really feel like trying to mess with that. I think I've seen images where you can get these over the boots. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of our first casualty. We do have neon green splotched on the gray here. I can try to get that off later, but that is a little disappointing. This is a little bit more expensive than a Marvel Legends, so I get that this is a little bit more of a American, slightly more retail release, but I do wish that they got the paint QC on my particular one down a little better. Still better than some Marvel Legends, though. And we do have the rest of the boots here. They're both done in a very similar fashion. We have, again, lighter gray and then a dark gray mold with a nice line down here. The way these things just wrap around here. And then the top of the feet look really good, too. Some nice sculpt work, a little bit of light gray there. And then the bottom of the feet, there's no treading or anything. We do have these copyright symbols. We do have peg holes at the bottom of the feet if you have a base compatible with that, which I don't know which ones would be. But then we do have some nice neon green all the way around the sole of the shoe. And that is just really great. I'm really loving how this looks with its paint apps, with its overall sculpting, the way that it has shading in the skin. I have a little bit of some paint splotching, but all of this with the actual plastic on this, with the soft goods, looks incredible. Articulation is quite good too. A little bit limited in some areas here. Some other Jada Toys figures wouldn't be as limited, I don't think. So the head, because of that dumbbell joint, goes all the way up here. We do have some articulation going on in the neck here too. So that goes down really far, and then you can get pretty decent side to side. It feels like the torso and neck articulation at that section doesn't do much, but rotation's just fine. You can also rotate trying to grab the neck, but it won't swivel too far. I do feel like the arms are a little bit loose, but it keeps the pose just fine. So they do have a butterfly joint going forward and back. Arms go all the way around, this is where I feel like it's loose, but again, it keeps the pose fine, and then the tailored goods actually keep that from, that material will add a little bit there to where it's not going to be too loose. But in and out like this, upper arm swivel, grabbing that upper arm swivel. And, this material is going to get in the way a little bit, but you do get a really decent double jointed knee, or elbow, excuse me. I'm sure that's better without the jacket on if you really wanted to take it off. Swivel at the wrist, hinge forward and back at the wrist. This ab crunch here is mostly a ball joint going on right here. It can kind of swivel here. Side to side is actually really good. The back is really good. It gets a little bit of gappage, but not too bad. Forward could be better. There should be a combined ball joint here at the waist. I can't rotate it. I can make it go side to side, but I can't make it crunch too. So I feel like something's going on there, which is just a little too stiff. I can't make it move too much. But then, the pants kind of get in the way of the leg too. You might rip something, so just be careful, but you can kind of keep it kicking. And it's actually not kicking too far because the pants should be able to go back. Splits, be careful. You should be able to do the splits. Upper thigh swivel here. Double jointed knee actually isn't too bad with all that material there. I'm sure if you want to take off all of the soft goods and make a custom out of this body with whatever, the articulation wouldn't be as hindered. I just got to be careful. Swiveling here at the boot. Up, that's down, sorry. The down is really good. Up is quite good too. And then an ankle rocker. I got to space things out a little bit more today, but we're looking at around 17, almost 17 centimeters to the very top of the hair for David. That is going to put that, again, towards the top of the hair around 6.5 to 6 3/4 inches. I still think that, Even though David is more bulked up here towards the end of the show in this figure, it's a 6-inch figure. It's going to be out of scale with a 7-inch McFarlane Toys V on the right. You can see what it looks like on the left with another Trigger character, the Figma Gallo from Promare, which I have no idea if these are accurate sizes. On the far left, Marvel Legends figure. Far right, standard size Black Series figure. They're going to be around the same height with Black Series being a little bit shorter. Overall, I really am digging this figure. I am really put on the Jada Toys stuff now. I can't wait to see what else they're making. Can't wait for some other Cyberpunk figures from them. But if I'm being honest, unless you're a really big fan of Jada Toys and or Cyberpunk at all, you want the character figures, or if you're just interested in how this figure is looking, I don't know if I would entirely recommend getting this figure. I mean, maybe on a whim because of just how expensive it is. It's close to $45. I don't know if people are going to feel like it's worth it compared to other 6-inch, slightly more affordable stuff. It's not hard to see why this is $45. This has completely tailored soft goods, and I make a big deal about the tailored stuff because they have to mold, they have to pretty much tailor everything to what's molded on this figure, which is very impressive. Not unique to Jada, but I still find it very impressive. All of the different weapons and accessories on this are really cool, but it's really only going to work for this character. Compatibility with other stuff isn't, necessary, but isn't really that easy here. But overall, sculpt work, detailing, paint work on this thing, the way that they did all the stuff involved with the soft goods, with, tailoring, the stitching on the inside of the jacket, and then paint work that goes onto there, really nicely done. A little bit of some paint splotching on my particular figure. Articulation could be a little bit better, but it's mostly hindered because of the soft goods. It definitely has good articulation. This thing is really nicely done. I can't wait to see what else they have in store. Jada, please make Invincible figures. I'm really begging. I'd like to see what else they're going to be doing in the future. Definitely have my eye on Jada. I'm going to be reviewing Lucy next. This one's pretty good. Again, a little bit expensive, though. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think of the figure with the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.